When you were sitting with your colleagues at the New York Times, these were women who were members of the Women's Network with you. And I think that this is a really powerful example of how ERGs can be a tool for both companies and employees. Um, in your opinion, how can companies really harness the full potential of ERGs? And then how can employees think about using them as a lever to be able to create change inside of an organization?
I think for businesses, they can start by just leaning on the ERGs for, big change management challenges. How can they get their advice and support? Big initiatives, big programs that they might want to roll out, business problems they want to solve. That's a great way to start the conversation. I think for employees, I think sometimes at some companies, ERGs are seen just really as groups that get together and maybe, commiserate or celebrate. And I think that's changing a lot and has been over the last few years. They can be real change agents within a company. And now more than ever, I think businesses are turning to ERGs to hear the things that in the past they haven't been able to hear.
I've particularly noticed in the startup companies I've worked with, sometimes ERGs don't even fully exist yet. And I think, employees can sometimes be hesitant in forming ERGs. What is sort of the basic infrastructure that you have to have inside of a company when you're just starting to build out diversity and inclusion initiatives inside of a company, and how can employees, how can they think about not being intimidated by starting an ERG, but really, moving forward with, like you're mentioning, an idea and a plan?
Ideally, this would really start within a people operations team, because I think the right administration and support is critical to a successful ERG. But one way that you can start as a startup is really something called like a culture club or whatever makes sense for you, where you're putting together a group of employees as a sounding board for policies, or it could even be events that you're doing. I think something like that is really easy to do and helps employees believe that their voices are going to be heard and make sure that they can influence the policies that are being created at the beginning of a company.
Company culture has really dramatically shifted, I think, even in just the past couple of years, where the employee's voice carries much more weight today than it ever has before. Why is it so important for leadership teams to listen to the voices of employees? And how do you think about that in terms of, employees using their voices to speak up for change?
Culture is the manifestation of how you work, how you behave, what you believe, what your mission is. And there's no one closer to any of that than the employees. So I think if you're going to make a policy change or a process change, or you're thinking through, new ways of working, the employees really are the ones that know best, and it's critical to any business's success to listen to them. Um, I think what we're seeing a lot now, like the walkouts, like you mentioned, are employees that are just so frustrated that they're not being listened to. And there's a way to avoid that, and that's to listen to them early and often.